Hey y'all, I'm out here fucking around with this damn van. I'm spraying my window covers that I made so that the silver doesn't show through. Even though I put 3% tint, you can still see the silver, and I kind of don't want it to show through like that. It makes it look kind of like homeless or whatever. But yeah, they go to my camper van. Just wanted to give you a little bit of background about myself. After COVID, and I had a stroke and had some issues after that, some cognitive issues, and I had some actual physical issues too, like with my hands, which I talked about that in previous videos. But after all of that, I did get a chance to take a time out, and with that time out, I got to go through counseling, and I love counseling. Now, with this counseling came medication. Yeah, I was on medication for a year. I gave it a year. I was on Lexapro and, oh shit, I can't remember the other one. But when I tell you trying to come off of that, that was tough. I actually had to wean myself off of it. I didn't realize that those drugs were so addictive. When I think of the other one, I'll put the name up there or whatever, just so I can be accurate. Now, when I was in counseling, and it was kind of intense, it's like I spoke with the counselor about. Well, first I was in an institution for a little bit, and then I got out. That's when the medication started. But then when I went home, I had counseling, and I found out I had daddy issues. Daddy issues, you say? Yeah, daddy issues. Well, see, when my mom was in college, she got knocked up by this dude named Ralph Waldo Bonner Jr. I'll probably put his picture up there. I want him to try to say something and maybe sue me or something. Anyway, yeah, and he never acknowledged me. I don't think, as far as I know, according to what she says, and my living relatives, according to what they say as well. And before I go any further, I just want to say I do have a daddy. My mom got married when I was 7 months old to a man that she met when she was pregnant. That's how tough she was. She was pregnant and found her a husband, but anyway, and he adopted me at 7 months old. But then growing up, I knew that there was always a difference between like my sister and I and our treatment and that type of thing. Now, with that also, because I was darker than everybody in the family, I had problems with identity and self-esteem, and different comments that people would say, like, oh, you look like your mom but she looks like her dad, and I was like, I'd always, none of that shit ever sat right with me. Eventually, when I was 12, my mom, sat me down and told me that my dad was not my father, and I didn't realize or come to know who my father was until I was much older. Let me just say that my father I have never met, and my dad, I would like to say that he was a decent dad. He was a pretty good dad. I think he did the best he could. For one thing, my parents were very young. They were 20 and 21 when they got married. So that just lets you know how that went. Anyway. And my dad is retired military. And when I tell you, you marry your father, that's no lie, because I ended up marrying two military guys. The first one, which is my son's father, that didn't last very long. Uh, and he ended up retiring from the military. Second is my most recent ex-husband, and yeah, he did most of his enlistment, and then he got out so he can go and work for a bus company. Okay, what attracted me to him was the fact that I was, I hate to say transitioning, but I was kind of getting into spirituality, and I was into a church. I was going to New Zion Baptist Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. Pastor Williams was the pastor, but he was not a regular pastor. He was, I want to say, he taught almost like a Hebrew Israelite. My used to be husband, we would have long, deep conversations about spirituality and God, and he would tell me about the Bible and how he used to be a preacher and all this other stuff. So, it sparked my interest. I was like, if he's into that and that's what I'm into, I like ex-military because I feel like they are structured or have structure and recognize order and usually know how to implement it. And yeah, I just thought we kind of just hit it off. Well, getting into my daddy issues, a lot of times my used to be ex-husband used to love to talk about, bloodlines and things like that. And what I got out of it was that you are who your father is. And you know how the Bible loves to say who begat who begat who begat who. And we're from this tribe and all this other bullshit. So that kind of sent me on a quest to really want to get to know my father. So I had already been in touch with one of his daughters, his oldest daughter, with his wife. And we were Facebook friends, and I decided I wanted to see her. And I came to the Carolinas, and I went and I drove and I met with her. And we had a long conversation. I took her to lunch, and we talked. I think we were there probably about 3 hours just talking and getting to know one another. And she was telling me about him and her upbringing and, her other siblings, or I guess our siblings. And, yeah, and then we kept in touch for, I would say, about a year. I called her a couple of times, and I would text, and I would wish her happy birthday. I think I sent like $20 to a charity on her Facebook charity for her birthday. And then finally, before I even get to that, she would send me pictures of like my grandparents, which I'm glad she did that. She's also retired military, let me just say that. And my grandfather on my father's side is retired military. So I don't know, maybe it's some with that military shit. My son is in the military. Well, I wasn't really happy with how that was going because it wasn't looking like I was going to meet Ralph. So I decided to take Ancestry DNA. I just wanted to see if there were any other brothers, sisters, if Ralph was on there or whatever. Come to find out, there's a young man that we shared 1,358 centimorgans, which indicates that he would be my half-brother. So I reached out to him, and it took him a few months because, and it probably was because I had to, reach out to him through the app, the Ancestry DNA app. But he got back with me. We set a date. I booked a flight, and I went to meet him. Now, I went on this trip. It was my husband and I. He was I'll say husband because he was my husband then. But we went. It was just for a weekend, and come to find out that he is also a PE teacher, which is that's so funny because he's a PE teacher. I studied PE, and our father was also a PE teacher. So just how genetics work. But anyway, we had a good time. We went to our very first hockey game together, and he made us breakfast on the Blackstone, and I got to meet his family. We went out to eat, and we had a good time, him and his kids and his wife. It was really great. And also, he has a handyman construction business. Now, y'all keep that in mind, okay? But it's weird, though, because before we took off, now I was living in Colorado at the time, and it was a pretty bad snowstorm. And like my ex-husband, he was at work, and he was talking about, how the snow and how we should probably cancel the trip because the weather was bad. But I'm like, we in Colorado, it snows all the time. They clean off the runways, they de-ice the planes. I ain't worried about that. If you want to stay, I'm going. So he ended up going, of course. He wasn't going to let me go by myself. Now, while we were on the trip, everything was okay. We got along for the most part. He would try to start little arguments, but I didn't pay that shit no attention. I was there to meet my brother and get to know him. It was great, getting to know him and seeing the similarities in our mannerisms and our talents and things that we like to do and things we say, how we hold our hands. We're shaped the same and we look a lot alike. I think that maybe my ex-husband was a little impressed with how my brother, some of the like he would build outdoor furniture and like he built a bunch of shelves in his garage and he did not a room addition but he did some, I don't know if you call it alterations or whatever, where you changed up some rooms and opened it up and created a different room out of a closet. I don't know what you call it, but he did a great job. It was awesome. It looked like like the house was made that way. And I think that because my ex-husband has a bunch of tools, he thought that he could be a handyman too. So all of a sudden, when we went back home, he was going to be a handyman. I didn't say nothing, but he ended up calling my brother more than I did. It got to be weird, like really weird, until I was like, finally, I don't talk to him like that. If that's what you want to do, that's on you. But how much wood can a woodchuck cut when a woodchuck can't cut wood? Just because you got a bunch of tools don't mean you know how to use them. This joker didn't even know how to use his own saws. Now, they were clean and shiny and dust free, but that's because he didn't know how to use them. This is the beginning of when it all got weird. Now, he tried to blame me for not being able to teach him how to use his own goddamn tools. And then I told him, well, it looks like it ain't about me not knowing how to use your tools. It's that you don't know what the hell you doing. And then he got mad and he did that narcissistic stare, that glitch that they do with their eyes and where the shit get to shaking back and forth like something wrong with him. Then he goes down on that patio and then he starts talking shit, but I picked it all up on the security system. He liked to talk shit about me, I guess, to his cousin, but I guess he didn't think that I could hear it. But he talked a lot of shit about his cousin to me too, which that's kind of sad because I think he's really dope. I told him so myself on TikTok. I kind of like to let people know how I feel about them from myself. I don't like it to come from a third party, so he doesn't have to get it from my ex-husband. I told him myself. I love him and his wife both.